Welcome to Dissect the Question. A 45-year-old man presents to the ER with chief complaint of chest discomfort described as palpitations. An electrocardiogram is performed and a cardiac arrhythmia known as atrial fibrillation is diagnosed. The man says that his father has had atrial fibrillation most of his adult life. The ER physician explains that there's likely to be an inherited structural defect or a dysfunction of a protein that holds its atrial muscle cells together. So the first step is let's look at the answer options, and they all seem to have something to do with a basic science concept rather than a clinical concept. So let's see if we can look at the vignette and see something that's going to point us in the direction of a structural defect. You think that's important? Absolutely. So we're looking for a structural defect. Are these choices structures? Well, they make up structures. Are they proteins? That's a clue. Yeah, they're proteins. So they're proteins that make up a structure. And what structure would we'd be looking for? It's cardiac. So is there something special about a cardiac muscle cell? Because here's the word muscle down here. That would be associated with an abnormal electrical rhythm. That's what arrhythmia is. Atrial fibrillation is abnormal electricity. So we know that in biological terms, electricity is carried through cells by ions, especially excitable cells like nerves and muscles. Well, this is a muscle, so we're looking for something that's going to be associated with ion movement. We know that cardiac muscles have a special structure known as an intercalated disc. You must know that. And the intercalated disc is a representation of a gap junction through which ions move. Now let's go down to the answer options and see if one of these proteins is associated with a gap junction. Well, one sticks out to me as connexin, likely to be the correct answer. But we can't stop there. We have to go back and look at the other choices to make sure that we're not overlooking a fine point, because sometimes there are two possibly correct answers. We're looking for the best answer always. So we have to go back and quickly review cadherin. Cadherin is a protein that makes up a loose junction. So when tumor cells move, for example, when we have tumor metastasis or we have stem cell movement, it's the cadherins that are interacting with the extracellular matrix to make that happen. Claudins are part of a tight junction. Cadherins loose, claudins tight. Tight junctions we find at the blood-brain barrier, but we don't find tight junctions in cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles, we find the gap junctions with the intercalated disc. So we're all on the right track for connexin, and the only thing left out is integrin. How do we eliminate integrin as a potential answer? We say, is there something we know about integrin here that'll give us a clue? Yes, integrins are part of the loose junction of cadherins. So actually, integrins and cadherin go together, so that eliminates A and D as a potential answer. We've eliminated B because it's a tight junction, and the gap junction is made up of connexins that allow ion movement, which would account for the cardiac arrhythmia, a structural protein defect in a cardiac muscle cell.